Our meeting is being recorded today, and Kelly, if I could ask you to please go ahead and let new folks into the room. If they join after we get started, as I'm doing the kickoff, that'd be terrific. Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, it's 2:02, so let's go ahead and ring the bell. We are so excited to have everyone here today, our presenters, our audience participants, our planning team. It's going to be a terrific afternoon, and we thank you for joining us. I have a very short script to present on our afternoon plan, including a few details on Zoom housekeeping and our code of contact. And then we'll get to the good stuff, the presentations that we all came for. Welcome everyone to our fall workshop, Refresh and Refocus, Libraries, New Trends in Supporting Entrepreneurship, brought to you by the Entrepreneurship and Libraries Conference, ELC. ELC hosts free conferences and workshops on how libraries support entrepreneurship in their communities and campuses. ELC is for and by information professionals who support and believe in the power of inquiry and information to transform lives and support entrepreneurial endeavors. Today's conference theme relates to the ever-expanding work that libraries of all types are doing to serve entrepreneurs in their communities. Our goal today is to grow our understanding of the diversity that exists amongst these entrepreneurs and the many ways that libraries are supporting them in their journeys. My name is Teresa Pfeiffer, and I'm a business librarian and Intel analyst with Corning Incorporated. We hope you find today's conference to be educational and thought-provoking, as well as being a terrific networking opportunity. To today's presenters, participants, and planning team, we wish to extend a really big thank you. A lot of work has gone into today, and we're excited about it. I'll share the names of our conference coordinators in the chat, so you have that for reference. And we do have an ELC code of conduct that we'll also put in the chat. I want to share just 2 sentences of that with you. Each ELC participant has the right to learn, network, and socialize in an environment of mutual respect and professionalism, free from harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Creating such an environment is a shared responsibility of everyone involved in ELC. Thank you for that. And before we get started, a few Zoom housekeeping details to keep today's event running smooth. We've got a lot to cover, and I'll be reminding people in the chat window when you have 1 minute left and when you're done. Presenters, please keep an eye on the time and look out for those time notifications in the chat. And during the speaker talks, please keep yourself muted and keep your video off unless you'd like to turn it on when you ask a question. Comments and questions are welcome in the chat box at any time. Our colleague Frank will be moderating the chat, and we'll be saving those chat questions that are asked during the session. And because our sessions are designed to be short and easily digestible, we may not have time to answer all questions during the session, but we'll certainly do our best. And now over to you, Frank.
Thank you, Teresa. Welcome, my name is Leyli, and I will be today's speaker moderator as we navigate through some amazing discussions, including 7 presentations and 6 lightning talks. Let me share our agenda with the presentations in the chat window. In addition to these live presentations, we also have some excellent pre-recorded sessions. Yes. Pre-recorded sessions that can be found on our website and LinkedIn page. Okay, let's jump right in. Sorry, could you please mute your microphone?
Take it over there unless they have it. Yeah, other people don't like the glitter glue. I like the.
Lily, you're just muted, just as
Now can you hear me? Okay. Let's jump in with a big welcome to our first speaker, Camille Lefebvre, trainer and facilitator, ecosystem partner for Libraries France, on the topic of Alliance Française in Madagascar, leader in culture and entrepreneurship. Camille, welcome, and over to you.
I need to share my screen and you need to authorize me, please. I don't know who amongst you can do
Kelly,
that.
are you able to give screen share capability there?
Yes, I can. Here we go.
Thank you.
If not, as I send my slides, you can just share them if you want. Oh, yeah.
All right, you should be able to share now.
Yes, I am. Okay. So, hello, everyone. I am Camille Lefebvre. I am currently a trainer and facilitator for libraries and cultural structures. But from 2020 to 2022, I was the director of the Alliance Française of Sambav in Madagascar. And I will be talking to you about a project we took on in 2021. But first, welcome to Sambav. The town is in the northeast of Madagascar, and it is the capital of Vanilla. A little peek at the education and cultural context. In the 60 public and private schools of the town, children are often more than 50 per class. There is no university. The young have to leave and go to the nearest town, which is 24 hours of bus away. Employment is seasonal during the vanilla season. Vanilla work pays well, and it's hard for the other businesses to compete in terms of salaries. But outside of the season, there are no jobs, and the young who can't afford to go away to college stay and they hang out, in the best of case. Sadly, the region is becoming unsure because of gang wars around Vanilla. Many young people see the easy money and they enroll. In this particularly beautiful but not very funny environment, the Alliance Française is the only cultural center of the town. We have French classes, a library, and cultural activities. In 2021, we were a team of 25, working mostly toward the kids and the teens. How did we get to this project? This will be no surprise to you. Often in our field, the orders come from above, and this was our case. The higher ups, so the ones paying, and in our case, the International Labour Organization, had determined that the young persons of our region needed employment. There was not a lot of jobs available, so they decided entrepreneurship was the way to go. Luckily for us, they did not see it as just getting a product and selling it, but rather as a process of helping these persons be more easily recruited and or giving them the opportunity to launch their business. We were the only school in the town with the ability to provide training to 45 young people, and so we took on the project. Our specialty is French classes. However, French can be used in many different ways, and we created courses especially for this project. The basic of French, French to communicate, French for the work environment. The 45 students attended our classes for every day during 3 months. We had enough money to pay for the commute, and the rest of the commitment was theirs. But only classes was not enough for us. It was too theoretical. So we paired it with our entrepreneurship teachers, and we created the first entrepreneurial fair of the region. It was an event over 5 days. We had a fair for local entrepreneurs to sell their products, 2 days of training, a cultural evening to raise funds, and a pitch competition. For our students, they had interviews with the local companies that had committed to taking in interns, and they followed the 2-day training. Those who wanted participated in the pitch competition. But mostly they were the volunteers without whom we couldn't have run the event. They worked to get the tents up, they served our guests during the evening, and they ran all over town to deliver flyers. We gave them responsibilities and they delivered. It created for them a whole new sense of being part of a team. Did it work? Yes. This training was an asset to the students in their job search, whether it was as an employee or an entrepreneur. They received a diploma, signed both by the Alliance Française and, most importantly, the Continuous Education Service of the state. Why did it work? So first, we were not alone. We had great teachers, whom you can see on the picture, who were entrepreneurs themselves and who had committed their energy into building creative and useful activities for the young. We also had associations who identified the participants. Second, because we had the reputation. It was and ask for money. Because our library had been there for 40 years, because we had the reputation of good managing, and because we were known as agents of change for the kids. The companies trusted us. We were also able to vouch for the teacher's company so she could get a subvention from the French embassy. Third, it worked because it mattered. At the beginning, we had the money from the International Labour Organization, but our project also struck a chord with the young and the local companies. No one wanted our young to be left alone, wandering on the beach because they didn't know what to do. 15 companies agreed to take on interns, and more than 40 helped and pitched in one way or another. And lastly, it worked because we were not alone. Alongside our 3 months full-time training, the fair, and the follow-up of the trainees, we also kept on doing our regular activities. And we could not have done that if local associations and entrepreneurs had not participated. What did we gain in this project as a library and a cultural structure? Apart from money. First, we successfully changed our image. We are seen as expensive and a place for the rich people in town. We worked really hard to break that image. To have students from outside our regular customers was really good for us. They were able to go back to their neighborhoods and tell their friends and family that we are open to everyone. It was easier to visit the schools in those neighborhoods because they already knew us. Second, we gained new project management skills for our team. I didn't manage the project by myself only, and my colleagues had to learn some new stuff. Then we gained a new sense of federation in our team because everyone was involved. Teachers, librarians, cultural agents, they all interacted with the students and participated in the fair. And then directly with the students, we took on 3 interns and we kept 1 as a full-time employee. And after the fair and the courses, we kept staying half of them as our volunteers during our cultural events. You can see me with Stella, the one we recruited, and that's who stayed with us. And this is it for me. We can keep in touch. I will put my mail in the chat, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Camille, for the wonderful project and sharing your great work with us. So I'm going to introduce our next speakers. We will have 2 speakers for this topic. Dr. Ngozi Osochoko, Department of Library and Information Science, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, Nigeria, and Nkechi Sabina Udis, Department of Library and Information Science, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka, Nigeria, on the topic of learning life skills for socioeconomic activities in public libraries in Nigeria, the entrepreneurial initiatives. Dr. Ngozi, please, over to you.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
yes, please.
All right. I submitted my slide. I don't know. I submitted my slide and my video. Are they not ready?
Yes, you
Uh,
did. Are you able to pull it up from your side, or would you prefer we pull it up on this side?
Please play it if it's ready, if it's there with you.
All right, give us just a moment.
All right, thank you. I can take questions from here.
All right, doctor. So we're having some issues downloading the video. I did get into the app to get into your file to get the slideshow. Will that be sufficient?
Hello, Kelly, please, could you repeat yourself? I didn't get you.
Absolutely. I was able to get into the folder that you gave me, but I'm unable to play the video. I do have the slides that you included. Will the slides be sufficient?
Okay, maybe you control the slide from there while I speak from
All
here.
right,
Is
that
okay?
sounds fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the slides in just a moment. Thank you, everyone,
All
for
right.
your patience.
Thank you.
Let's do a slideshow, please. All right. Oh, hold on. All right, I will remove co-host here, and then I will share screen. All right, your screen should be up for you.
All right. Do I go on now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good evening from Nigeria. I am Ngozi Pepeshwa Osuchukwu, and I wrote this with Nkechi Sabina Udeze. Both of us are from Department of Library and Information Science, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka. I am a volunteer in the public library. I've been a volunteer since 2010. Then Dr. Nkechi Udeze was the immediate past director of Anambra State Library. She retired last year and joined the academics at the university. Next, please.
Doctor, I just want to let you know there's some feedback coming from your mic. It's making kind of a whining sound.
Is it clearer now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, much clearer. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Now we know what libraries are, or rather how people view libraries of the old, libraries in the past. But at the moment, libraries are being viewed differently because of the innovative and strategic activities they are doing at the moment. And one of such activities is entrepreneurship. Next, please. Entrepreneurship, as we all know, is the ability and willingness to develop and organize a business enterprise in a bid to make profit. It is all about business venture that can improve the standard of the living and put food on the table of the people who do not just want to read, but to improve their economic standard. Entrepreneurship is a very good activity for people who want to venture into business, and libraries are offering these concepts today. Next. Now, I'm going to talk to us about the public libraries in Anambra State, Nigeria. There are 11 public libraries in Anambra State, And each of these libraries organize entrepreneurship activities at least once every year. And this usually happens during the long vacation, that is from July to September of every year. It started in 2015 with free creation of gift cards and tie and dye. Tie and dye is a kind of creation we do on a plain cloth with designs. After using the dye, the design will come off beautifully in that cloth. That is what we call it, tie and dye. It's common for Africans. So a user of the library wanted to give back to the society, and he started the tie and dye in the library. In 2018, other activities came up like cake making, buns, and other confectionaries. They were also sewing, bead making, turban, slippers, and of course, the makeup skills were added to this. And all these were free classes by volunteer entrepreneurs. Next. Now, the objectives of this paper are to highlight the engagement and outreach strategies, to also talk about the volunteers for the entrepreneurial activities, the success stories, challenges, and lessons learned. Next. Now, what did we do? Before the entrepreneur activity started, what we did in the library was to, run a kind of needs assessment. And this was done with schools. We did that in schools and the communities. And the people involved in this were the library staff, the participants, and the volunteer entrepreneurs. At the end of the entrepreneurial activities, we usually organize interviews, focus group discussions, and a logical framework where we analyze the evaluative studies from the participants. So the schools were reached, next please. The schools and communities were reached out.
Doctor, are you still there? I think we had a loss of audio.
Out to fill in their needs. Next. Hello, next. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, you are. Your audio was going in and out, so I will.
All right. Now, these entrepreneurs, like I said, many of them were library users, librarians, and friends of the library. These are people who have the skills, they have the knowledge, they are strategic, and they are leaders in their different businesses. So these were the people we worked with for the libraries, training, and learning of trades. Next. Now, the success stories. The participants learned new skills. Yes. And some of them showcase their products. I'm sorry, I don't have the pictures here. Some of them have their shops along the street. And sometimes we patronize them when we want to organize big activities for the libraries. They supply those things they learn from the library. They also engage in teaching others because we make it, there is a kind of agreement we made with them. When you learn, you impart the knowledge in others, so they help in reaching out to others. Then the entrepreneurial activities are ongoing in all the libraries till date. Next. Now the challenges we have and still having at the moment, one is the budget because of the economic activities, and the budget do not cover all the needed resources, but the library is trying as much as it can to provide the basic ones. Again, sometimes the volunteers are not easy to get because some of them are requesting for a token. Remember, they will leave their businesses and their places of work to come to teach in the libraries, because the entrepreneurial activities are only taking place in the library. So it's a big challenge for them. Again, it's the time for the learning. The time does not suit everyone at the same time. And this makes the classes to be repeated all the time, which is not good for the entrepreneurs who are happily volunteering for this. So these are the challenges we are having at the moment. Next. Now, the lessons learned. More people are coming to the public libraries, unlike before, and new people are coming. And when you ask them, they will say they want to learn because the news is going out everywhere. We get to know this because the library has a register for people that come in every day. And sometimes we organize an assessment to find out the reasons for the coming. And these are the reasons we are getting. And we get to know that new people are coming in every day. And this is improving the image of the library. The libraries are now busy, unlike before when they seem to have so much time in their hand. There are activities going on all the time. And these activities have opened doors like community acceptance, stakeholders involvement, even the government involvement. And more library friends are being gotten every time because everyone wants to be involved and be identified with the library. Next. Thank you. This is how it is now in Anambra State Library Board. Anambra State, Nigeria, with the entrepreneurial activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngozi. It was wonderful to have your great discussion and sharing your experiences. I'm going to have invite to our next speakers. Again, we will have from Nigeria 3 speakers. Ifeniwa Ankechi Okonko, Department of Library and Information Science, Namedi Azikiwe University Oka, Ubinya Jo Ijago, and Dr. Ngozi Osochokyo, Department of Library and Information Science, University Azibiki University, Oka, Nigeria, on the topic of empowering students' competences with business plan, the innovative approach in the classroom in a Nigeria university. Please, over to you. I don't know who is going to present. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Hope you can all hear me. Good evening.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon, good evening.
Okay. Thank you once again. My name is Dr. Ifenwa Okonkwo. This is a collaborative paper with Obenuju Nwaforizu and Dr. Ngozi Osuchukwu, all from Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka. We are presenting this paper titled Empowering Student Competence with Business Plan, the Innovative Approach in the Classroom in a Nigerian University. There is a significant and ongoing problem in Nigerian institutions with regards to student learning of fundamental business plan skill. Even while entrepreneurship education is widely acknowledged to be important, many students live with the inability to develop, carry out, and oversee successful business strategies. These shortcomings makes them less ready for Nigerian fast-paced and cutthroat business environment, which means they lose out on chances for job creation, economic expansion, and the creation of a vibrant entrepreneurship ecosystem. For this study, 3 research questions guided the study. The study also adopted a mixed method approach research design using qualitative and quantitative data collection method with a population of 165 undergraduate students from Department of Library and Information Science that offer the course in Information Marketing and Entrepreneurship in their 300 and 400 levels respectively. For this study, 2 research instruments guided the study. One was a questionnaire on empowering students on entrepreneurship skill. The second one was a cognitive test on their competence in preparing a business plan. For this research, in this era of economic, I don't know if you can see my slides. In an era of economic transformation and the evolving job market, fostering entrepreneurship
Hey,
skills
Siri,
and
call
the
Cecilia,
ability.
Harry.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello? All right. In an era of economic transformation and the evolving job market, fostering entrepreneurship skill and the ability to develop effective business plan among students is paramount. And for a typical business plan, it should have some guidelines or some rules and regulations that guides the production or the creation. For example, a typical business plan, number one, should have the introduction, the name and address of the firm, the name and address of the owner, the profile business, the size of financing desired, the description of the business, the production plan, marketing plan, organizational plan, financial plan, analysis of risk, executive summary, and appendix. Even while entrepreneurship education is widely acknowledged to be important, many students still live with the inability to develop and carry out and oversee successful business strategies. Although students engage in various skills, none have explicitly delved into empowering them in preparing a good business plan in the classroom. Hence, the need for this study. Before the program, students reported an average knowledge of 2.8% regarding business plan before taking the course. The students' self-confidence increased from an average of 2.2 before the course to 7.8 after completing the innovative business plan program. 75% of students reported that they had not created a business plan before, but after the program, 90% of the students successfully developed their individual business plans ready for implementation. 85% of students agree that innovative teaching approach made the business plan program more inclusive for students from diverse backgrounds to participate and enjoy from the program. 70% of the students mentioned that the knowledge and skill they gained from the course had a positive impact on their learning. 95% of students indicated that their university, that is Nnamdi Azikiwe University, is eager to receive their feedback on the inclusivity and the effectiveness of this business plan program, which happens after the program. From the result of the findings, the discussion of the findings show that this empowering students with a business plan skill help them to provide an insight into how well a novel strategy works in a Nigerian university, setting to equip students in preparing a business plan. There was also an increase in their knowledge and confidence among the students. This creative strategy helped them to produce a good number of business plans that were both inclusive and diverse. The recommendation from this study proposes that in order to promote cooperation and idea sharing, more networking opportunities for students to be included should be harnessed for students to enjoy the benefit of this business plan. In conclusion, the novel method of teaching business plan enhanced the competence of students. In addition, it showed the potential for providing students with necessary ability, especially in this economic shift. Thank you so very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Efenia, for your great contributions. I'm going to invite our next speakers, will be Megan Coleman, a research and instruction librarian, Wichita State University Libraries, United States, and Jessica Pierpoint, Wichita State University librarians, patent and trademark specialist, on the topic of becoming a valued partner in the entrepreneurial community. Megan and Jessica, please, over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. So welcome to our program. This presentation will discuss how Wichita State University has progressed from creating programming for entrepreneurs to a community outreach program that has led to extensive networking partnerships. My colleague Jessica is going to put some questions for you all in the chat, so take a look for those. And so my name is Megan Kuhlman. I'm a research and instruction librarian at Wichita State, and I'm also the liaison to the Barton School of Business.
Yes, and I am Jessica Pierpoint. I am the library patent and trademark specialist, as well as government document specialist and a patent and trademark resource center representative. So being a PTRC, or patent trademark resource center, means I get to work with patrons on intellectual property, so patents, trademark, copyright, trade secret. Something unique to us is we're the only one in Kansas, and I get to work not only with the state and the city, but also with our regional in Denver and the U.S. Patent Trademark Office. So something to note is we're not lawyers, but we are a resource center. So that means that we provide consultations that sometimes turn into referrals. But through those consultations, we can provide kind of going through the process, options, answering basic questions for you, kind of where to find information, how to connect with different resources that can sometimes turn into outside community referrals and partnerships, and then how to search for instruction.
So for my role as the business librarian, outreach to the local business community, not only is an important service that we provide, but it also benefits the library. So as a public institution, our resources are available to the public, and inviting the local business owners and community and helping them navigate our databases contributes to increased usage statistics for our resources that benefit us when we're making budgetary decisions. And Wichita State also has a part of their mission statement to become an economic driver for the region and the state. So doing outreach with the entrepreneurial community helps the library demonstrate how we contribute to that larger university mission. So in order to better support the entrepreneurs on our campus, we started what we call the Entrepreneurship Research Workshop Series in 2016, which features topics about how to conduct market research as well as protecting intellectual property. In 2017, we decided to start engaging with the larger community and networking to promote the workshops outside of the university. And that led to connections, which allowed us to expand our offerings by inviting guest speakers on topics where we have less expertise starting in 2018.
Yes, and then we hit the 2020 pandemic. Which caused a bit of a shift for us. We were supposed to pause our series because we were working remote. There was a lot of uncertainty at the time. So in 2021, we continued to kind of keep that pause. But then in 2022, we got to come back and it looked a little different. We worked with our Kansas Small Business Development Center, KSBDC, to provide our workshops virtually through Zoom. And then in 2023, we decided less is more, and we were going to focus more on the basics and the intros again, getting back to where we started in the series. And we brought back our series in somewhat full force. We both did one basic intro session for each of our topics, and then we brought a panel presentation. We were really excited for this. We brought 4 panelists, which some are even listed on our Outreach Became Partnership slide. So something with that, and then we'll see if they get, yeah, there we go. And so if you can kind of see, this is where our outreach kind of really spread throughout this series. We started out working with some of these partners, and then when we took the pause, we really focused on Kansas Small Business Development Center, and them letting us do the presentations virtual, the workshops virtually through their platform, but in conjunction. And then we made it even bigger. So 4 of our panelists were KSBDC and Network Kansas. And then we even brought people from campus. So WSU Strategic Initiatives and Center for Entrepreneurship got to be a part of that. So we bridged the gap between not only university, but also community partnerships. And I will let Megan talk a little bit more about some of the bubbles.
Yeah, so the way this is set up, they're kind of color coded. So the yellow bubbles are organizations that are on campus that we work with. The blue bubbles are community outside of campus organizations, and the green are organizations that have some affiliation with our campus. So you can see there's a great variety there. And just some examples of how this has worked for us. So for the Center for Entrepreneurship is on campus, and every year in the spring, they have the Shocker New Venture competition for students who are starting businesses to pitch their startups. And we've become embedded with that program. So we offer our workshops in a way that aligns with their schedule for that competition. And that's been really beneficial. And that's an example of something that maybe other libraries could look for, startup competitions in your community that would be something that you could get more involved in. And then also the Kansas Small Business Development Center has monthly meetings with what they call a consortium. That's an organization that has several local Chamber of Commerce offices and a lot of other startup organizations, which has led to a lot of other great networking and outreach opportunities for us. So this is some examples of things that are in our local area that we work with, but hopefully that can spark some ideas for you all as well of things that you could look for in your community and ways that you could reach out with a little bit more knowledge of what might be out there.
Yes, and some of those ideas also are things that maybe you might have something like a small business development center, as well as a Center for Entrepreneurship. And some of these focus more on university, but as well as community and even state level. So we do have a activity for you guys, which I believe Megan will be bringing up, but we will have a whiteboard session. So now that you guys have kind of seen some of the ideas that we have, to which we try to network and outreach, not only to our university, but city and state level, including partnerships. We want to see what ideas maybe you sparked by seeing our little bubbles and seeing what each other writes. So we have 2 topics. One is on networking and partner ideas, and the other is on programming and event ideas. So using the link that Megan has added in the chat, you should be able to click on it and type one or multiple ideas on either side. And as they kind of pop up, which one just did, we'll kind of read some of those off. As well as looking through the polls from earlier. It looks like we have quite a few academic libraries, but also some public. So that kind of gives 2 different perspectives when looking at all the ideas people are putting in on the whiteboard. And it looks like a lot of you guys are already doing outreach. So that's awesome to hear.
I saw it seemed like some of the academic librarians especially are saying that they struggle with the time commitment of being able to do outreach, which I definitely sympathize with, which is partly why I kind of mentioned ways that we can justify how that supports the library's mission and the organization's mission. It makes it a little bit easier to go talk to administration and justify the time that we're spending outside the library talking with some of these groups.
Yes, definitely bringing in our series gives us kind of that opportunity to take that step to outreach. I saw a poster session. That seems like a really cool idea for programming. And academic plus public library partnerships. So yes, bringing both libraries into a networking, partnering community would probably be really cool.
During business fails, that just sounds fun. I think we might think about doing that. That sounds like a really interesting night and something that would really get students engaged. Yeah.
Oh, and I saw somebody mention SCORE. So yes, SCORE was one of our bubbles. So we refer a lot of people and they refer people to us for our local SCORE. And that's something that is statewide and nationwide. So
someone mentioned co-working spaces, which is interesting. I think we do have some of those in our area, and that's something that we haven't done. But innovation hubs, that might be something like the makerspace that we have that we've worked with a little bit. So those are really great ideas.
Something else, I saw just a chat question come in regarding if we have any advice for somebody solo. So like I mentioned before, I am the only PTRC. So my job is a little unique. Yes, I get to utilize Megan in a business sense, librarian sense. So we kind of tag team a lot, which really helps. So having maybe another librarian that is in the same field, or maybe you have a potential outreach librarian that could work with you, that could be helpful. But a lot of times, because I am a specific concentration that doesn't always align with Megan, I just have to get out in there and I just kind of ask for permission. Can I find an event or a networking opportunity and really see, hey, I asked my boss, can I do this? And most of the time it's a yes, if it works with my schedule, and just try to go for it. Just really think outside the box and try to look at what your city or town has to offer. Start there and then work your way up. Megan, you got any advice?
Yeah, wait, we don't have an engineering librarian at the moment, but in the past I've worked with an engineer as well because of that innovation connection. And it does take time to get started, but the more that you are able to create those connections, it can actually save time because you're able to do referrals for things that might be kind of outside of your scope. So of course they send referrals back, so that can be kind of both ways, but it can help to have more of those connections once you get it started.
Oh, I saw Minority Business Fair and Women in Business events. That's really good. Yeah, learning, immigrant refugee events. So yeah, having different targeted audiences, or maybe seeing where the main topic or focus aligns in your community, that can be really helpful to create new workshops or sessions. These are awesome. Yes. With the link, you guys will be able to kind of go back to it and see it in past notes, I believe. So you should be able to see everything that people list if they continue to list after our session. And we hope you have gotten some brand new ideas and are thinking of outreach in a new and different way.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan and Jessica, for this wonderful presentation. It was really very informative. Thank you so much. And I'm going to invite our next speaker, Maria McGregor, Assistant Professor and Reference Librarian for Business and Economics at University of Illinois, Chicago, United States, on the topic of Inside Business Lessons and Reflections from Entrepreneurship Sessions at Cook County Jail Women's Divisions. Maria, over to you.
Thanks so much, Layli. Hi, everyone. I'm Mariah McGregor, as mentioned. Let me share my slides with you all. There we are. So like Layli mentioned, my name is Mariah McGregor. I'm an assistant professor and reference librarian at University of Illinois, Chicago. And today I'm going to talk about a little bit of the sessions that I did at Cook County Cook County Jail's Women's Division here this past fall about entrepreneurship, a little bit of business planning, and some of the different resources that I utilized to show, and some of the surprising difficulties and interesting little things that went well throughout this program. So what I planned was not exactly what ended up happening. For a little bit of context about Cook County Jail, it is the largest urban penitentiary system in the United States. Cook County Jail is located in the heart of Chicago. It's only about 20 minutes away from our university campus. It houses around 8,000 folks right now. Only about 350 or so are identified as women. So you're really looking at a very small segment of the overall prison population. And so they tend to be very under-resourced, just because there's not the kind of population demand, along with several other factors that are not quite so clear or not quite so great, shall we say. That said, what I planned was a really short 4-week business course covering the basics of business planning, from concept to structure and formation. So we were talking about best legal practices, all that sort of stuff, and really bringing in a lot of customized hard copies of various different market reports per student request. What ended up actually happening, as I'm sure you're all fairly familiar with, is that I ended up doing a 3-week short course covering most of the lessons that I had planned in about 45-minute sessions with very limited hard copies for students, but that were still managed to customize to their needs and request. So what went well? I had fantastic student engagement, which was really impressive for me to see when you are dealing with such a variety of populace. I was teaching an age range from 19-year-olds to 74-year-olds. I had 2 deaf students. I had 4 students who didn't speak any English at all, only spoke Spanish, who usually had folks who were bilingual who were there to help translate for us, but not always. So that was something that it was really interesting to me to see, that how engaged these women were, and really, really interested in being like mentally and emotionally challenged to actually do some of this work. They were also really responsive to student-centered and trauma-informed pedagogy. I really tried to ensure that students felt that they could collaborate with me and speak with me as freely as allowed. There was a lot of real push towards what they thought they wanted to build for a business, what they might be interested in once they were outside. One student wrote in our feedback forms specifically, like, "Thank you for treating us like people, and that we had hopes and dreams." And you see this sort of theme come out quite a lot in the feedback that we've received from these various different classes that we've taught. And really, it's the interactive activities and that are really appreciated and encouraged desire for even more engagement. Prison is kind of boring, unsurprisingly, somewhat by design. So anything that can really get folks interested in talking with one another and coming up with new and exciting ideas is always really welcome. The students really appreciated the ability to sit and have some time to think and bounce the ideas off each other in a way that was structured, and they had time to ask questions and make requests for different resources. So I was very happy with how a lot of this went. And it wasn't without its challenges. So some of the things that could have gone better, logistics were kind of a nightmare for a variety of different reasons. As I mentioned, I initially planned on a 4-week session for 1 day each week. I ended up only doing 3, purely because nobody answered my email. And per the safety requirements, I had to get approval beforehand. And while my dates were approved, I did not get a clearance pass until the day after I'd initially hoped to be starting. So that threw in a lot of roadblocks that were very difficult. And that's before we even get into the actual complexities of teaching in an incarceration classroom. I was not allowed to bring in paper of any kind. I had to pre-print everything within that office. So I was usually going in for my noon class, arriving at the jail center to get through security and everything by about 10:30, was usually through security by around 11, and then had about an hour to make sure all of my materials were printed and organized properly. And then I would get about 45 minutes before we eventually get pulled out of class slightly earlier than intended. And also meeting students' needs took a lot of time, trying to find Spanish translations of things that only came in English, ensuring that all of my students got the things that they want covered. Part of how I teach is ensuring that they can request things and I can make that happen. So I did not necessarily intend or start with my foot off on the idea of, oh yes, we're going to talk about like proper business structures within the US. What works best for you? Is it an LLC? Is it a formalized partnership? All these sorts of things. I did not expect them to be interested in that at all, but that was my most requested option that I put in front of these students. And so I had to take the time over the following week to put that all together and make sure that that was what they wanted at the levels that they could understand, and covering, again, a huge gap of interest and ages and information needs. So that was something that definitely took a while to get used to, but has been building my skills, I think, quite a lot as a librarian. And then there was also the pressures from authorities within the classroom, which made concentrating both for me and the students pretty difficult at times. Some of them were fairly ridiculous when you think about it kind of logically. I had to hand out specialized pens that are created specifically for incarcerational institutions such as this. We're in a minimum security block, but I was required to number and count out and receive back every single pen that I got for my students during that 45-minute session. And I would stand there next to an armed guard who would also count with me. And if we were missing one, that would result in searches of the entire students or the classrooms, even if it just rolled under a table. So that was difficult. There were also fairly regular interruptions for court dates, various different disciplinary actions. There were also just things that made things a little bit harder for me as a teacher. I was asked not to sit directly with my students while we were working on group projects, all these sorts of things that you don't necessarily think about outside of these very carceral settings. So it definitely challenged me, but I think it made me a better instructor and librarian, but really brought forth a lot of the ideas of why this research is so important, why information access is so important to so many people, because I had to put together a list of various different books that they should request, knowing that they can only request mail every 4 weeks. They do not get deliveries every day that they come in. They only get mail every 4 weeks, which is about once a month, sometimes twice. So it's really difficult for them to even get access to information. So I was really kind of providing a lifeline in for them when I was bringing in fresh info. So providing this sort of thing is really, really helpful, but also very difficult. And it feels very frustrating when you're so used to being able to just click on a link and send somebody an entire ebook. So that said, that kind of covers a little bit of what I brought into these sessions, but I wanted to provide some discussion prompts for everybody. And I encourage you guys either to unmute if you have some options and opinions, or you can type into chat. Either is totally fine. But I wanted to encourage some discussion here of, how, if at all, are your libraries providing any kind of services to currently incarcerated folks or formerly incarcerated folks in your community? Thinking about what, if anything, libraries could do to rethink our services to be more accessible to inmates, and why refocusing some efforts towards prison programming might be beneficial to not only your community, but also yourself, but also, what do you think those difficulties are? I'm just reading through chat here. How did this project come about, and what did it look like on the administrative and bureaucratic side? I was very lucky. Thank you so much for this question, Victoria. I'm very lucky. My dean is a law librarian. Araya Ballard-Thrower is phenomenal. And she teaches in our law school in a class called Inside Out. And so she works with the criminology department, and they encouraged more and more professors to teach these short-term classes. So that is part of why I was invited to do this work, but it was also just a personal interest of mine. So from the library end, I had no real objections whatsoever. I was highly encouraged to do this. That said, I know that not everyone has administrators that are quite that chill about what they're doing. So it's also a formal process of thinking about, maybe you're not necessarily reaching out directly to inmates or going inside a jail or a local prison, but you might consider what options are available for formerly incarcerated folks in the community. Committee that goes into the library and teaches, yes, that is 100% true. There are a lot of prison librarians that I know that work with ALA through that program. There's also the Abolition Library Association I'm on their mailing list. They do a lot of work around not only abolition, but also continuing access to information to incarcerated folks across the world, that they're doing a lot of really good work in that regard. Yes, absolutely. They do a ton of work with Indigenous folks too. Thank you, Sharon. Yeah. From Rachel, in Pennsylvania, we have the Clean Slate Law, expunge records. Yes, absolutely. And finding ways to navigate some of these bureaucracies is really important and a real benefit that I think a lot of public libraries, especially as an academic librarian, I don't have as many community resources as I would like to know. And I know that a lot of our public librarians who are here really do have a lot of that like inter-community connection, those ideas of not only the government programs, but also the local nonprofits that you work with on a regular basis. So that is something that you can definitely think about as providing services. Yeah, absolutely. There have been a lot of really great programs. The Gwinnett Public Library did a new entrepreneurship startup, which has been really interesting. So thank you for that, Duncan. But yeah, I really encourage folks, like, as you're thinking about this, really question, you know, like, why aren't you, if you are, why, like, as a library, why haven't you done some of this stuff? Because I think it's very easy for a lot of us to kind of forget this, but something that I try to remember really often when I'm doing this work is I'm employed by the same state institution that is incarcerating these folks. Like, I work for the state Illinois. I'm a public employee. So as much as they're paying me, that money is also going towards incarcerating these folks. So ensuring that they're getting the kind of services and respect that everyone deserves, I think is really, really important, especially for those of us who are in public relations. Yeah, Frank, working at a courthouse library and inmates sending resources. Yeah, especially trying to get as much advice as you can without overwhelming everybody, because you don't want to be that person who shows up asking for 450 pages printed. Nobody likes that person, so you got to try and be reasonable with that. Yes, from Rachel, having a formerly incarcerated person talk about at your library about how the library helped save him while he was, that's so sweet. Yeah, I think it's one of those things that I really want to encourage folks, especially since the idea is restoring and refreshing. Like, I cannot emphasize enough how thankful all these students were that they were getting resources and that they were being taught real materialistic and like concrete things that could help them post-incarceration. Thankfully, here in Illinois, we're seeing a decrease in folks who are on pretrial detention, which is my largest contingent in those classrooms were folks who actually hadn't been convicted of anything yet. They had just been accused of a crime. They had not actually gone to trial yet. So seeing that folks are able to get a lot of that out, in Illinois, we now have a cashless bail system. So a lot of folks who have been held on pretrial detention are being released, but that also presents challenges for continuing this program in the best possible way, in that fewer folks are actually in prison to teach. So they're still out in their communities. Are there any other questions? I've got my contact information here for folks who are interested. But if not, I can turn it back over to Layli.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank
It was really wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to invite our next speaker, Cara Van Abel, a reference librarian and a liaison to the School of Business at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, United States, on the topic of Patent Research Essentials, a learning module for innovators. Cara, over to you.
All right, thank you. Welcome to my program, Patent Research Essentials, a learning module for innovators. This lightning talk will outline the development and implementation of a self-paced learning module that teaches the basics of patent research to innovators at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. My name is Cara Van Abel. I'm a reference librarian and liaison to the Collat School of Business. And I started working at UAB in 2016, which is where I teach the Business Research Toolkit. The Business Research Toolkit is a free 7-week course offered each fall and spring semester in an asynchronous format in Canvas. And in the spring of 2023, we added a digital badging pathway so that participants who successfully complete the toolkit can link their digital badges to their social media platforms and online portfolios. This is just one more way that we have to incentivize the use of the toolkit. Currently, we have 5 required and 4 elective modules, and the newest of this is our basic patent searching module, which was launched in the spring of 2020. This module aims to empower aspiring entrepreneurs with essential knowledge and practical techniques that enables them to effectively navigate the basics of the patent landscape. The growth of entrepreneurship here at UAB and the Collat School of Business included the addition of an undergraduate degree and the establishment of the Bill L. Harbert Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which we noticed prompted a little bit of an increased interest in patent research skills on our campus. Now, official patent research is definitely best left to professionals, but there are definitely advantages to be had for individuals who can be familiar with some of the basics of this type of searching. So in the module, I emphasize that the skills we learn cannot take the place of work done by patent attorneys, but could still help them in different ways, like fostering better understanding of the patent landscape, or encouraging them to explore existing patents to help them identify market gaps. So as you can see here, the module learning objectives are very, very basic. It's intended to be a short primer on the subject area. So I go over the different types of patents, what is and is not patentable, help them recognize the different sections or parts to patents, and then I use the lens to help them conduct their basic patent searches. And it's at this point that I'd like to invite you guys to tell me a little bit about if you are doing this type of work at your institution, which tools, Google Patents, the Lens, USPTO.gov, which of those, hang on, is this, sorry, which of those might you be using to provide this type of instruction? Okay, so we've got somebody using the Lens. I'll get into in the next slide. Okay, no, not using it, a beginner. Yeah, I know some institutions you may not be using it. USPTO is definitely a popular one, Google. Yeah, so I'm going to get into each of these in the next slide, actually. So, all right. I mean, the beautiful thing about all of these is that the resources are free. The USPTO site, of course, they used to have separate databases for patents and applications, and the old tool was retired recently. But it was very restrictive. And so because of that and the fact that it only searched US patents, it was very easy for me to eliminate that as the one that I wanted to teach or use in my module. eSpaceNet is the one that we use for European patent searches and like international patent searches. And it does have the US patents in there, but the search tool is a little bit clunky and not super intuitive. So I did not choose that one. Google Patents, of course, is easier to use, and it does have those international and US patents, but it still doesn't have as many search facets as the Lens, and it doesn't offer analysis tools. So I do like the Lens because it's going to let you do the patents and the patent application searches. It's got a lot of different facets that make your searches really specific. It's easy to use, and it's going to have some visualization or analysis tools that I think are really useful. So if you've never used the Lens before, this is what a patent search window looks like. You can see there are lots of different facets along the left-hand side for helping you create like a really specific patent search. It's really fast and easy to use, and in my opinion, it's structured very intuitively. And I mentioned the analysis functionality of the Lens, and so I wanted to point that out because this is a feature that the other searches don't really allow for. And here's an example of it kind of at work for a patent search on popcorn machines in the US. So it's showing the companies who won the most granted patents for popcorn machines in the States. And this could be helpful for someone who's an entrepreneur looking for a company to partner with or sell their idea to. And it's just one example of their analysis tools. Other tools can show you things like regionally where the most granted patents are located, or even like provide you with a list of the top patent attorneys working with specific types of patent classifications. So should you build a module like this at your institution? In order to answer this question, we have to ask kind of a few more. So you have to ask yourself, who needs these skills? What courses, programs, certificates are being taught that might utilize them? And look at the questions coming into the library, either in person or in chat, to see if there's a need. Definitely take a look at your collaborators. Try to identify if there are entrepreneurship programs either at your institution or in the area. Talk to the schools of business and engineering about what they need, and then seek out public libraries to find out what the community needs are as well. To determine what the module should include, we're going to be looking at, again, questions coming into the library and drill down to that essential knowledge and skills that they need. Remember, we're not patent attorneys, so we have to keep it very simple to make sure that the information is useful to them. And then, as with anything we spend our time building, we want to make sure that we have a plan to help them to maximize the usage of these tools that we create. So this might mean creating a tool that can be used anytime by anyone, which we all know is really difficult to build, or also having plans in place for promoting the resource. And if you can, ways to incentivize users. Thank you so much for joining me in my lightning talk. Once again, my name is Kara Van Abel, and I welcome the chance to talk with you further about these things, and I'll drop my contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carol. It was a wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot. And I hope everyone enjoyed so far with these great presentations. So I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Christine Linscott, Outreach and Engagement Team, Plano Public Library, Texas, United States, on the topic of teens and entrepreneurship, what we learn. Christine, over to you. Christine?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Great. Okay, you can see my slides?
Yes.
Great, thank you. Hello, I'm Kristen Linscott, developer of community partnerships for Plano Public Library, a diverse, well-educated community in Plano, Texas, which is just north of Dallas. Plano Public Library's Youth Entrepreneurship Academy was created to help teens experience the creativity, collaboration, and compromise necessary to excel in the entrepreneurial space. This 3-day program challenged participants to build a business idea, write a business plan or an outline of one, and pitch the final concept to a panel of business professionals. Here's an overview of what we learned about engaging a teen audience in entrepreneurial learning.
Kristen, you're in presenter mode, by the way. So we can see your slides and your presenter notes.
Okay, well, I think I have my things opposite. The screen's opposite to where they should be. I'm not sure how to fix it, so I will just exit and restart the slideshow.
Display
not in
setting,
presenter mode.
Kristen. Yeah, you can use display setting.
Right, I'm fixing that. I'm sorry about that. I thought they was in the right. There we go.
You can slideshow.
Okay. Is it showing slideshow?
No.
Okay.
You can use in the down.
I took it out.
Slideshow.
I took it out of the view, so I apologize. I thought it was doing the right thing. I took it out of presenter view.
Hey, Kristen.
Okay,
this is
no,
Caitlin.
it's fine.
if you still want presenter view, if you stop sharing your screen briefly and then go into presentation mode in PowerPoint, then go back to Zoom and reshare. It should allow you to select the screen you want to share.
Thanks. I'm not sure what you're seeing now.
So we're
Did I
back to
stop
the
sharing?
Zoom screen. Yes, you stopped sharing. So
Okay.
I would pull the
I
presentation
apologize.
up.
I thought I had it set up correctly. Okay. Okay.
There you go. We can see just your presentation. You're doing great. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you very much. I'm out of the wrong one I need though. So I apologize. Now I have to find what I need here. Okay. Where did I stop?
Kristen, just one of the co-organizers here. I just want to let you know we still have lots of time, so you can start from the beginning again.
Okay. I think that we're good here. Are you seeing Youth Entrepreneurship Academy with all the kids?
Yes.
Are you seeing the Youth Entrepreneurship slide?
Yep, we're seeing it.
Okay, great. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Okay, so it's obvious that young people are actively involved in creative and innovative thinking. By hosting a multi-day program specifically for high school students to teach basic concepts of entrepreneurship, culminating in a pitch contest, we made some assumptions and learned a lot about engaging this audience. We found the most effective way to alert local teens to this learning opportunity was actually through adults. The majority of students who participated learned about the program through their parents, and some were signed up directly by their parents. We promoted the program under the teen section of our summer program brochure and posted to the city's LinkedIn profile or page. We also invited parents to join us for the pitch session on day 3. This gave the parents a firsthand view of the creativity and innovation of these young people and how the library and our partners had delivered an excellent learning experience for their teens. It was beneficial to gain a clear commitment from the teens and their parents upfront. We required registration in person for the 3-day academy. Because we were placing teens into teams, it was important that they were committed to attending all 3 days. Having the teen and parent understand that expectation helped to ensure that teams did not have to scramble to fill a missing spot. This also set the scene for taking the program seriously. It wasn't a place to goof off, but a place to have fun while learning and contributing. It takes a village. Partners were absolutely key in the success of the program. Each team had a library staff member in the room, and breakout rooms were an essential element. And each team had an assigned business mentor, plus roaming experts who visited the different groups as they were ideating. Consistent adults with the teams helped to manage the group dynamics and established rapport between the teens and their mentors. Participants valued interacting with experienced mentors. While young people are certainly full of ideas, they also need and want guidance. The personal experience and business expertise of the mentors and experts was clearly appreciated by the students. From the other side of the picture, the business mentors also enjoyed the rapport and interactions that they built with their team of students. It was a win-win. Respect was a key factor from both sides of the experience. With multiple adult professionals investing time in the teens day after day, expressing regard for their ideas and asking questions to further stimulate the thinking, this indicated respect. The teens staying focused on their tasks, asking great questions, and fully participating showed the mentors that they value the adults' time and expertise. The teens appreciated gaining experience in teamwork. Perhaps some may think that school classes provide the opportunity for teamwork, and this may be true. But by adding business professionals and a focused goal that is not constrained by a grading rubric or influenced by school structure, this gave the teens a real-world learning experience. We placed the students into teams based on their primary strength as identified by the DISC personality assessment. This way, we were able to balance the teams with leaders and contributors and eliminate any assumed competitive advantage for teams that may be prearranged with friends. Young people responded well to our unmodernized approach to the program, in which technology was not a key component, but rather the students used flip chart paper and markers to prepare their pitch for the judges. They were on a level playing field, and they were not distracted by all the places that tech can take you. Several of the teens actually shared this perspective in their survey responses at the end of the program. High school students have a marked interest in understanding financial matters and business financing. Basic personal finances is generally a missing topic in regular instruction, and financing a business is no small matter. Teens' interest in learning more about financial matters was seen over and over in teens' responses to our participant survey. Offering food, providing stretch breaks, and planning interactive activities are all great ways to keep the students fresh and revved up. We rewarded all the participants with a certificate of participation, and the winning team received prizes. Bringing in community judges gave the students authentic experience and exposure. So to wrap it up, libraries are valuable partners for teens in business because libraries offer real-world tools and support for entrepreneurs. Libraries provide connection with business professionals. Libraries lend a more informal or a different learning environment from schools. And in doing this work, libraries help youth connect their ideas and innovative thinking with thought processes and thought leaders for successful future endeavors. We found engaging with a teen audience to be very rewarding and affirming, and look forward to continuing this type of activity into the future. Please email me with any questions or to share your experience with teen entrepreneurship. I'll put my email in the chat, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Kristen, for the wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot. And I'm going to invite our next speaker, actually the last one from this part, Emily Raymond, a public service librarian with Plano Public Library, Texas, United States, on the topic of Team Up for Entrepreneurial Success, Building Small Business Focused Library Programming. Emily, over to you.
Give us just 1 second. So this is a co-presentation between myself and my partner, Caitlin.
Can I get share screen privilege?
So yes, Caitlin's going to be sharing the screen for our presentation. Apologies.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. And so I saw that there was a question while Caitlin's getting the setup regarding how did we find our partnerships? So we work, or so many partners, adult mentors, apologies, for the Youth Entrepreneurship Program. And I see Kristen just answered that. So we work a lot with Dallas Score. And so that is how we were able to find so many fantastic mentors for that program. But with that, all right, get ourselves situated here.
Yes, I think we're ready. Thank y'all for your patience. All right. Hello and welcome to Team Up for Entrepreneurial Success, Building Small Business Focused Library Programming. My name is Caitlin Tips, and I'm a Public Services Librarian with Plano Public Library.
And I'm Emily Raymond. I'm also a Public Services Librarian at the Plano Public Library.
And today we will be sharing an overview of our program 2's Team Up for Entrepreneurial Success and how you can develop similar homegrown business-focused programs at your library. This will include how to determine your library's capacity to provide business-related programming, develop a consistent model of programming, as well as identifying and applying relationship-building strategies for partnerships. A little background about our library and our community. The Plano Public Library is located in Plano, Texas, in the United States, which has a population of 287,000. We have 5 locations, are open 7 days a week, and provide a variety of programs for all ages.
Plano is home to over 13,000 businesses, mostly small businesses. This business environment is not unique in the United States when you consider that 99.9% of American businesses, or about 33 million, are small businesses, and 46.8% of American employees, or about 62 million people, are employed by a small business. The TWO's program was developed to support our business environment in partnership with Dallas Score, a business mentoring organization sponsored by the U.S. Small Business Administration. Our program is held on the 4th Tuesday of every month, hence the name, and offers business-focused workshops on topics like legal matters, funding sources, and writing business plans, access to business mentors and experts, and networking opportunities for our attendees. When developing business-focused programming, it can be challenging to know where to begin. For our TWO's program, this is how we did it. We started by assessing the types of entrepreneurs in our community and their needs. For example, did they need space to conduct their business or specific business resources? We also learned what our community offered as well as what it did not offer. These initial assessments were helpful in determining what gaps the library could fill through business programming to support our entrepreneurs' needs. In our case, our community lacked an outlet to easily connect our entrepreneurs to business mentors, experts, resources, and networking opportunities. So we created one with TWO's. Additionally, we had to assess our library's capabilities to recognize what we were realistically able to offer our entrepreneurs. We started by asking ourselves, what resources and services does the library offer that are essential for entrepreneurs? We found that our library already had much to offer, including internet access, databases, books, software, and meeting spaces. We then evaluated the capacity of library staff by considering the following questions. Do any library staff have business expertise or backgrounds? What is the availability of library staff to support business programming? What existing or potential partners do we have that we could collaborate with? These questions led Caitlin and me, who are both passionate and knowledgeable about business programming, to becoming the facilitators of the TWO's program and partnering with Dallas Score.
While developing our business programming, we found that it was essential to reframe our mindset from the traditional librarian to that of our intended audience, the entrepreneur. Adopting an entrepreneurial mindset had us reframing our questions from justifying why is this important to what is important to entrepreneurs and where is the greatest need for entrepreneurs. Asking these questions enabled us to discover new opportunities to support entrepreneurs meet more tangible needs and naturally lend itself to developing better strategies for creating business programming and services. After finding your starting point, you are ready to develop your model. Before we dive into model development, we want to share this QR code on the screen. If you are unable to access the code, there's also a link below which you can type into your browser. This link contains access to a worksheet and other tools that we created here at Plano Public Library to support the content on these slides. Please feel free to use these resources, edit them to suit your needs, or reach out to us with any questions regarding them. We developed this model for our business-focused programming. There is no one-size-fits-all approach. Please use these questions for your program development as it best suits your community. To begin, think about what are you selling? What is the information that you want to begin sharing with your community? At Plano, we had facilities, technology, access to business expertise, and databases for entrepreneurs. That's what we were trying to sell to our community.
Next, ask, what is the best timing and delivery for your program? Timing and delivery can be challenging to get right, and what works best for some entrepreneurs may not work for all. In our case, evaluating attendance data and user feedback from similar programs helped us to get closer to right, but we are always looking for how we can improve to reach more entrepreneurs. Things we considered were, when are staff and partners available for programs? Are entrepreneurs able to attend programs in person? Is virtual better, or should we travel to them? Be prepared to be adaptable to find the best delivery method and time that works best for your community.
How will you promote your programming? We use a few formats at our library, including social media posting on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We also regularly publish a programming brochure that is available both digitally and physically, a bi-weekly newsletter shared through email, and share in person. Our partners, like Dallas Score, the Plano Chamber of Commerce, and more in our community also help us get the word out about our business programs.
Where can your program grow? When our Choose program began to see successful attendance, we had to think about how we wanted the program to continue to develop and grow. We considered our overall goals, that is supporting local business needs, expanding library resources and programs, and adding more partnerships for business support, and our plans to meet the needs of future entrepreneurs. Please keep in mind that while we would all love for every program to be an overnight success, that is sadly not usually the case. It may take some time to attract the right entrepreneurs, select the right partners, get the timing right, etc. So try to have realistic expectations of growth to keep you motivated towards your goals.
And think about what are your limits. It was integral for our team to figure out our programming scope for business support. We had limits for providing staff expertise, business resources, current technology, time, as well as facilities. Understanding how to make the most of those services put us directly in the entrepreneurial mindset and think like a startup to make the most of our resources. We support access to information without overstepping and sharing advice or expertise outside of our scope.
And finally, how are you assessing your programs and services? At the Plano Public Library, we believe that assessment plays a key role in enhancing our programming. We use tools like a SWOT analysis, online surveys, staff feedback, and impact stories to gain invaluable perspectives on how we can strengthen our programs. Assessment has improved our program timing, subjects, and delivery methods to better serve our entrepreneurial community. We found assessment to be most effective as an ongoing process built into your programming ecosystem. Relationship building is indispensable for business programming because most of us are not business experts. There may be librarians out there who are, and if that's you, that's great, but it's not necessary for this type of program to be successful. Neither Caitlin nor myself have MBAs, but we are passionate about supporting our community, know what our library has, and have learned the needs of our entrepreneurs. So here's some advice when building those partnerships.
Start by setting boundaries from the very beginning. Boundaries are a crucial first step when working with partners. One of our first steps when working with partners is to have both parties sign a memorandum of understanding that clearly states what everyone is agreeing to when partnering with the library. It has helped us maintain sustainable relationships where neither of us, the library or our partner, feels like we are getting taken advantage of in order to support our community. One method of maintaining boundaries is to find partners who share your mission. We are very fortunate to work with Dallas Score on TWOS and other programs because we have a shared interest, and we both provide free services to businesses.
Pursue partnerships for the long term. Partnerships take a lot of time and effort to develop, so make the most of those efforts and maximize their potential. We've been working with Dallas Score for 6 years, and over that time, we have found many opportunities to further collaborate. This includes additional programs on building online presence, market research, and business plans, as well as a youth entrepreneurship academy. This has allowed us to attract more entrepreneurs in our community, as well as build confidence in our programming. Be clear-eyed about partnerships and try not to romanticize or oversell to your partners. Remember, this is a business partnership. Keep things professional and abide by the clear boundaries you have established. This will help both parties avoid burnout, keep within your scopes, and prevent fractures that might ultimately lead to a breakdown in the partnership.
And remember, connections don't happen overnight. Start small and build strong connections. Focus on building a strong foundation and developing a reciprocal relationship. We began with one weekly business mentoring session, and that grew into workshops, teen programs, and got to where we are today in co-leading our monthly networking program.
Always remember your audience. The partnerships you develop are not about the partners or the library. They are about the entrepreneurs you serve and their needs. You may have a wonderful relationship with a partner, but if that partnership doesn't meet the needs of your entrepreneurs, it's not successful and can actually hinder even the best programming efforts. And lastly, communicate consistently. Our successful relationships are built around consistent communication. With Dallas Score in mind, we primarily email or schedule in-person or virtual meetings to regularly check in and ensure that everyone is receiving the agreed-upon support in our relationship. Without this consistent communication, there's greater potential for confusion and other mishaps that could possibly lead to the dissolution of the relationship.
Oh my God.
And remember, communities don't want businesses to fail. Business success is community success. Think back to the number of small businesses in the United States and the 62 million people they employ. Consider how this impacts your community. Develop intentional partnerships and work on growing programs that benefit your community. And when something doesn't work, learn from it and try again. We hope that this overview assists other libraries out there to develop their own business-focused programming. If you have questions, please reach out. We love to talk about this subject and help libraries build their business programs and support their business communities. So if there's any questions, we'd be happy to take those now, or we're happy to also take emails and to chat with you another time.
And do we have time for maybe just a few questions, Lily?
Yes, thank you so much, Emily and Kathleen, for the great presentation. We have some time, like 10 minutes. So if somebody has questions, please write in the chat box and Emily and Kathleen can answer. We have one question. Emily, would you mind sending a link they are asking?
So I can actually share a SWOT analysis in that same link that the QR code linked to. I have that SWOT analysis that can be uploaded to that folder. My apologies, I thought it was already there.
Okay, great. And there is one more question that Justin is asking, that what does SCORE stand for?
Service Corps of Retired Executives. And they are a wonderful organization in North America. Definitely, if you haven't made that connection yet, highly recommend it. They have been invaluable.
Yes, and they most majors, because they are sponsored by the U.S. Small Business Administration, they are located in most major cities around the United States. I see another question about receiving support from the higher ups for this program. Caitlin, I'm sure. So Caitlin was the one who initially was on this program. I joined a little bit later, so she has maybe a little more experience with that.
Yeah. Okay. That SWOT analysis, that toolkit, should it be uploaded now? Let me just pull up that question. Sorry. Doing too many things at once. So there's a question about the higher ups. Where is that? Is it?
So yes, a little bit up. I believe Janet asked it.
Gotcha. Thank you. So I would say it's been a gradual process gaining more support. I think when we began, it was like, oh, this is cool, this is different, but we're willing to let you try. So I wouldn't say it was necessarily hard, but until we gained more traction, we weren't able to invest in it like we are now. We just got more materials to support networking, and we've actually improved our database offerings, and we're seeing more investment in that area of resources in our system. So it's not necessarily hard to get support, but it's hard to get greater investment until you start seeing either interaction with your community or just more support in that regard, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I'll reflect upon back of what we were saying with being realistic about growth. When we started this, it was a very slow start. So
the first few months we were seeing just maybe a few interactions, people coming to the monthly program. We were lucky to be anywhere from 6 to about 12 folks in the room. Now we're averaging 20 to up to 40 every month, which is great for an adult program in our area. But it's been wonderful to see the success in our community and the different entrepreneurs, and have them find either their passion or just find greater ways to support their income and really make a difference in their community. We've had someone attend every session, just about minus 1 or 2, and they are actually opening their business this month. They are opening their bakery, and they like to say that it's because they learned so much and gained confidence and networking from coming to TWOS, and which is really sweet for us. We love to hear that, but that's what it's all about, is making that impact in our communities wherever we are.
Yes, and there's one final question about the time TWOS occurs. So I'd mentioned earlier that we hold TWOS on the 4th Tuesday of every month. If there's a holiday, sometimes that will change slightly, but we do hold it consistently from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So it's always the same time, so it's easier for people to fit into their schedules. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Emily. Thanks. So I would like to ask our audience once again. We have like 5 minutes. So if you have any questions from our other speakers, please type in chat, or if you would like, you can raise your hand also. If any questions from the other speakers. Thank you, Emily and Kathleen, for the great presentation.
Thank you so
I can
much.
see, yeah, thank you. I can see any question. So meantime, I would like to thank you, everybody. I would like to, if you have any questions from other presentation, please Other presenters, please type in the chat box. Yeah, Kim, would you like to ask question?
Sorry, I thought I was muted.
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody. I would like to request all of our participants, meantime, please introduce yourself in the chat, along with your name, pronouns, job title, organization, and where you are located. This will be good for us, you know, to know each other and to know that our participants, like, if you would please write in a chat box, that would be great to know more each others. And also I would like to, yes, exactly, Steve, virtual networking. Also, I would like to request that our ELC having a LinkedIn page for community building. If you would like, please go and follow. We put our LinkedIn page in the chat box so you can follow. And if you have any content, any thing that you would like to share, please send us. We can share your contents. Yeah, thank you.
Are we taking questions from the audience now, if there's time?
Just we have 3 minutes for questions. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I had a question for Dr. Okonkwo from the earlier presentation about the Nigerian students and the success that she had with doing some networking things to help build some of those business plan skills. And I was curious about what some of those strategies looked like, what some of those networking strategies or in-person things looked like that built some of those business plan development skills in her students. I don't know if she's still on the call.
Hello, I can take the question if she's not around.
Yes, please.
Can I go on?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if I heard her correctly, she asked about the strategies. I don't know if I got her questions correctly.
Yes, that was it. I was wondering what some of the strategies or events or types of networking events that you found were successful with your students in trying to build some of the business plan development skills.
Okay. Well, what we found out from the business plan, the strategies, we feel that one of the strategies was, kind of helping the students to prepare them for the future. Because I don't know if you know how Nigeria is at the moment. There seems to be this notion that one earning earning salary from one source is not enough. So we are teaching them to veer off whatever they are doing, even though they are LIS students, and go into information career whenever, that they need to know this to help them generate income for their day-to-day or their families. Then the strategy is to help them build themselves up. And again, for those who will be working in the libraries, it will now help them to help in propagating this entrepreneurship in the libraries. That's part of it. Then another strategy we are using, sometimes we get people from the Faculty of Management Sciences, because we collaborate on this. They also help in nurturing them on how businesses can be groomed and all that. Another strategy we are using, we also collaborate with NGOs and government agencies. These are some of the openings we offer our students to learn more on the open knowledge on businesses and entrepreneurship to help them build their future. Thank you. I don't know if I answer your question correctly.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Ngozi, for answering the question. I would like to give my great Gratitude to all of our presenters as well as our participants for presenting their talk and for attending at this conference. I hope all of you enjoyed so far with these great presentations. We will have our break for 10 minutes. We will start our next panel at 4 p.m. ET. See you all. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, we can skip.
perfect. And I'm just going to move and zoom over to the other screen. Are you still seeing my slides here?
Yep.
Perfect. And Ben, are you ready to go?
Yep. All set.
All right, perfect. So hi, everyone. My name is Rachel Figueredo. I'm the Entrepreneurship Librarian at the University of Waterloo. My co-presenter today is Ben Graham, and he is from Velocity, which is our incubator at Waterloo. So our presentation is called Foundations, the Happiness Project. So before we sort of go on and talk a little bit about our collaboration, I wanted to situate you at the University of Waterloo, just to give you a sense for sort of what our landscape is there. So University of Waterloo is a PhD granting institution. We're located in Canada, about an hour outside of Toronto. We have 6 faculties listed here, but we're particularly known for our strengths in STEM. Waterloo has the largest post-secondary co-op program in the world. And this is notable when we talk about entrepreneurship because it really helps to establish strong experiential learning throughout a lot of our programs, and it creates ties to industry for our students. Many students get interested in venture creation either after returning from co-op, when they've sort of been exposed to some problems happening in a company or an industry, and now they feel empowered to solve them, or maybe when they tackle their 4th-year design projects in engineering, so around the time that they're about to graduate. So our entrepreneurship ecosystem, I also wanted to situate you here and give you a sense for sort of what our offerings are on campus. I mentioned that I'm co-presenting with someone from Velocity, but Velocity is one piece of our entrepreneurship puzzle on campus. Velocity is our incubator, and they do have sort of Velocity located off campus, but they also have an on-campus presence where they run programming a lot for students. So they host a semesterly 5K pitch competition. They run different programming ranging from one-on-one consulting to more intensive semester-long programming. So Velocity is one piece of our entrepreneurship ecosystem. And then we also have a master's program in entrepreneurship for business. We have 4-credit undergraduate courses. We have a social impact incubator and many other co-curricular programs. The library supports all of these, whether they're curricular or co-curricular, through our collection of industry reports and market research tools. So the library and Velocity have worked together for years. Typically, our collaborations were relatively minimal. In support of this 5K pitch competition, each semester, Velocity would host a weekly session. And so for the library's semesterly participation in those weekly sessions, I would sort of tell students how to do market research and how to include some of those research aspects into their venture creation.
Outside of that, we would often just kind of refer students back and forth to each other for one-on-one consulting, but our collaborations kind of ended there until recently. So Ben is going to tell you a little bit more about how we've expanded our collabs.
Yeah, thanks for kicking things off, Rachel, and thank you everyone for having me. As a non-librarian, it's an honor to be able to present here. So just to take you back to the inspiration for foundations and our specific happiness topic, it comes from the hundreds of interactions that we've had with students at the University of Waterloo over the past few years. And in the months leading up to our pilot, between myself and my colleagues, we actually had 5 different teams of students all coming to us asking for advice about their startup ideas, all related to mental health. And every single one of them wanted to solve this problem with an app. And this kind of follows a general pattern that we see at Velocity. Students can get really wrapped up in their ideas, and then they almost immediately jump to creating a solution to solve this problem or challenge that they think they've spotted. And they tend to spend a lot less time on the secondary research and primary research that would actually validate or invalidate whether or not their problem or their solution was correct or even a good fit. And while we try and address these issues when we see them pop up, sometimes we arrive too late, and there's a bit of a sunk cost fallacy there amongst the teams, but it's also just not a very scalable approach. So what we did is we kind of took a risk and we said, we know this is a problem in our ecosystem, but we also think that we have some of the resources here at the university that we can actually do something about this, create a program, teach students a better way about going through that innovative process of finding a challenge and creating a solution to solve it. So in the spring of 2023, we designed a program called Foundations to teach students the fundamental skills involved in developing an idea. We call it the Happiness Project because our central theme is focused around mental health issues among students. We saw a lot of that during COVID, but the data suggests it's been a very ongoing trend for a number of years. So, we started our pilot. We had a small batch of students trying out our 8-week program. We had created sort of a mock learning management experience using a platform called Notion, designed to mimic something like Desire to Learn, which is used in education. One of our biggest, or some of our biggest challenges in the program became quite clear after we did some lengthy interviews to get feedback from our participants. For example, they noted things like the engagement during sessions was not something that they felt was at a level where they were comfortable. They also felt like some of the content was maybe coming at them in an order that didn't fit where they were in their own idea creation process. So with our participant feedback in hand, Rachel and I went back to our colleagues at the Center for Teaching Excellence, which are there to help students, or not students, sorry, instructors and professors design better courses, and also our friends over at the Human Organizational Development Department in HR to see how we could better align what we were hearing from students, but also the outcomes that we wanted for those same students. And one of our sort of breakthroughs for our version 2.0 plan was shifting almost entirely to a discussion-based program design. So Rachel and I kind of shifted our roles away from sort of just instructors in a classroom, just sort of lecturing at them, to becoming more like facilitators when we're actually in the session. And as you can see on our weekly schedule here, we have several different sessions in our 10-week program. But our first half and our second half of the program look quite different. And the second thing I would maybe point out here is that we have them working on their ideas right after the week 1 onboarding. So in session 2, they're already developing their idea and continuing to work on that idea throughout the next few weeks. We know these ideas are going to change, but it's really important that they start developing an idea early so that the content that we're introducing them to is always being connected back to this area of interest that they're already developing, which is also good for increasing the engagement amongst the students. And if I just zoom in on that week 2 ideation session, You can see we kind of break our sessions into multiple chunks, but we always like to start with our sort of weekly challenge to students. It's the same every week. It's what social thing did you do in the last week that was new to you, kind of where you put yourself out there, or even sort of reconnecting with friends and acquaintances. Rachel and I are also obligated to participate in this, which can be pretty fun. This session, we had some guest stakeholders that we were bringing in to help get some outside feedback on these first ideas for students. And then we just dive right into our discussion activity around the homework that was assigned to them. And we assign them homework just about every session. Most of them do it. And in this case, they were supposed to watch an interview from a program here in Ontario called The Agenda, titled, "What Can We Do to Combat Loneliness?" We used an activity called Discovery and Action Dialogue to kind of support that discussion. It's really good for sort of prompting some action from the students and then just facilitating that discussion. And then we moved over to this really fun activity called, where we're just crowdsourcing feedback from student ideas. And what happens here is students have to write down their first idea. We had a huge stack of note cards. And then in very fast-paced timed rounds, students have to pass their ideas around the table to receive feedback. And meanwhile, they're giving feedback on the ideas that their peers have presented to them. So what we also did is we strategically positioned stakeholders at every table. So students all receive some feedback from an outside perspective. Could have been a specialist, an analyst, or another stakeholder from the university. And then they bring this card with them to the next session. You can see an example of that in the corner there, the student's idea for a clubs hall and the feedback they received. And they bring that to Rachel's Researching Like a Pro session next week, where they get to build on that even more. And then we wrap up by talking about next week's homework. In this case, it was a TED Talk by a counselor at a university in the US. And then inevitably, there's some auctioning off of the food. Every week, we have them vote on the kinds of food they would like us to bring to the sessions. It just makes it very social and just helps create the sort of environment that we want to see. Some students even bring Tupperware in anticipation of the food. And then if I zoom out again, I just wanted to show you what our sort of program looks like as a graphic. I know I've borrowed this from the double diamond design thinking model. And when we look at it this way, you can really see how different the two halves of our program are. The first half is all about research, defining your challenge, thinking about your first idea. And the second half, we just work on getting feedback, validating our ideas, and then prototyping. And we do that a couple of times, and we bring stakeholders right to the students for them to get feedback. And then some of the past stakeholders we brought in, senior management from our student success office, lots of people students wouldn't have access to otherwise. And just for outcomes and demographics, I'll just mention really quickly some of the ideas we did see from students last semester. Things like interactive art installations on campus that required more people to interact together. They could be designed by our architecture school that we also have. Things like just active installations like swings for students to use. One student had an interesting idea of using the platform students already use to schedule their courses to automatically populate their course schedules with social activities, clubs, sports that the students had indicated they were interested in. So they would already know that these things that they might want to do would work with their schedules. But in terms of the demographics and the outcomes we saw from students, we saw a lot of great things that we don't typically see with the velocity. So the two main things I'll say here, a lot of art students, which we typically don't capture. And for most students, this was their first interaction with us. And that was something Rachel and I wanted. We wanted a program where students that typically wouldn't see themselves as entrepreneurs saw that this was a place where they were welcomed, this was something they could participate in, and they could get all those entrepreneurial skills that entrepreneurs get. But if we compare this to Velocity's data as a whole, what you'll see is that in Velocity, we're heavily saturated with math and engineering, which translates to our sort of flipped gender ratios. And most of the students that interact with Velocity tend to come from our startup competition, or they have attended a one-off event, which also tend to be very focused around startups. So very pleased that we did manage to connect with a lot of individuals that in our experience don't necessarily see themselves as entrepreneurs and do kind of stay away from that programming. So that was a real pleasure to see.
So we have some tips for you if you would like to create a similar program, or maybe you just sort of need some gentle nudging to get your own programs and ideas off the ground. The first piece of advice is to ask for help. Some of the people that Ben mentioned that we collaborated with around our campus, they were not entrepreneurship supports, and they weren't even necessarily staff supports. A lot of them are designed to support faculty or students specifically, but we asked them for help anyway. So we got a lot of help from our Center for Teaching Excellence and how to structure the program, from our Office of Human Development about activities to foster engagement in the classroom. And then again, we've talked about those stakeholders that we pulled into the classroom. All of these campus staff were an integral part of what the program ended up looking like. So our first piece of advice is to reach out and ask others for help, because some of your best help might come from those unexpected places. And the other piece of advice, and I'm happy to hear this kind of resonated with another presentation today, is be entrepreneurial. I think the idea here is just to think outside of what your typical role would be as a librarian, and instead think about how you can fill a point of need. So this collaboration really sparked because we, at Velocity, they really did want to try to capture an audience on another side of campus that they don't usually engage with, this arts and humanities side of campus, and we have a library location over there. So really, it was a collaboration based around the space that the library provided, but I really wanted to provide some additional support, and I really wanted to get involved. So I just kept showing up and offering support in whatever way that I could. By the second semester, when Ben had a better handle on sort of how he wanted the program to look and how he wanted it to run, I was the ideal person to collaborate with because I was the most familiar with the program already. So because I'm a librarian, sometimes I'm inserting some information literacy instruction into the sessions, but I'm also regularly facilitating sessions that don't actually have anything to do with IL. So personally, it's meant that I needed to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and basically just stretch myself to meet that point of need. What is next for Foundations? We're in the middle of our second semester, and we're, gathering some feedback from students, kind of anticipating challenges or ways that we might reposition ourselves for next term. So one of the things that we've seen as a challenge is that we've made such drastic changes to the program each semester we've been running it, that we've essentially been building the plane while we're flying it. And that can be a really big time suck for us. So we're really happy with all the changes we've made and how the program is structured this term. Hopefully we can use our free time next term to build some additional materials, like a website to host resources so that we can kind of share between students. And then the other thing that we've seen as a challenge is ensuring consistent student participation. And this is kind of always a challenge. This is a 10-week program this term, and both semesters we've seen attendance really dwindle after our reading week, typically when midterms start. So we're planning to survey our students at the end of this term to pinpoint changes that we can make to remedy this. In the future, we do plan to run the program at least next term, and then we'll see where we can go after that. And we have some plans for how we might sort of modify the program. The one thing is just to identify new topics. We've been focusing on the happiness problem, and we're really excited by that one, but we might be able to sort of broaden the appeal on campus if we change topics, but keep the structure of the program the same. And the other thing we're considering is if and how this program needs to feed the rest of the entrepreneurship pipeline. It is designed to be really sort of low stakes and intentionally very approachable for all students. But we can see that, there might be some opportunities for us to connect our students after this program to some of those other entrepreneurship supports. Ben and I are really happy to chat about our project, so I'll put our emails in the chat, and then please feel free to reach out and get in touch if you have any questions. Thanks so much for listening today.
Okay, thank you, Rachel and Ben. This was great to hear the collaboration between Velocity and the University of Waterloo. It's great, informative section. The next one we have two speakers again. Chris Sturgeon, business librarian for the University of South Florida, United States. And the second person, Will Parker, business librarian at the University of South Florida, on the topic of academic business librarians guiding pitch competition research. Over to you. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Chris, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm right here.
Can everybody see our screen, our slides?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay. Chris, are you going to start?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, welcome everyone. We're going to talk a little bit today about our presentation. As you see the title here. And first, we'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Chris Sturgeon. I'm a business librarian at USF. And Will, who's joining me, is also a business librarian at USF. I believe our next slide has some biographic information on us. Just there's some contact information there. So if you ever want to get in touch with us after this presentation, feel free to do that. We'd like to hear from you and like to hear about your ideas as well. But now I'd like to talk a little bit about our project. So in the course of our daily work with faculty and students at the MUMA College of Business, which is the business college here at USF, we were noticing frequent promotion of various pitch competitions across the school. And that eventually led to more involved discussions between Will and myself. And we were wondering how we could provide support for these students. Who organizes these pitch competitions? We were wondering about that and what the specifics were. And as we gained interest, we needed to understand the landscape of the competitions, to assess the types of competitions that were out there and just kind of determine the finer details. And with that, we started just to do some research, find out about them. And so we took inventory of all the current business pitch and proposal competitions and compiled a list. And what we found are that there are 11 total competition programs and initiatives. And as these graphics show, there's a breakdown of the types of programs. Our school affiliations mostly are for USF students exclusively, but some allow for participation from students at other colleges or universities, and a few of them actually allow competition or participation from high school students. So from that information, we noticed some common areas of focus, which helped us to kind of visualize a basic structure for our project, because we wanted to help all the participants, but also to keep it simple and straightforward. So with that, we developed our goals, and some of that overlap and common ground that we noticed is summarized in the stated goals that we learned about. They wanted to inspire students to start their businesses, as you see, develop their skills and get access to mentors and just, foster innovation. And also with the pitch competitions, we noticed different rules and requirements. And as you see on screen here, the applicants must be the sole innovator and founder of the business, but they also are required to present in person to a panel of judges. And that was interesting for us as well, just to kind of determine how we wanted to develop the resource guide that we ended up working on. But another interesting part was the prizes that were involved in these competitions. The stakes were really high. As you see, there were over $250,000 of prize money combined throughout all these competitions. And most of the money prizes awarded were seed money for launching or developing the business ideas. So that really was a big thing as well. Really showed us how important these competitions were to the participants. And so we wanted to take a look at some of the needs of the participants themselves, how we could directly support them. And although we found some differences, the common areas we discovered helped us to identify a basic set of needs. And we wanted to keep things simple and accessible for all the students. So now I'm going to hand things over to Will.
Okay, so the needs that we found is the students needed to know the components of all the business plans and the descriptions of those components, and they needed to have access to information for conducting the feasibility analysis of their model or their business idea. And then they also needed structure for their pitch presentation. So with all of this in mind, our goals are to, for the project, were to increase the amount of participants by streamlining the research process, making it easier for participants to
start their project and then effectively pitch their project. And so the resources that we picked and provided, we wanted to ensure accuracy of information that goes into their business plans. And overall, we wanted to just enable participants to create an effective business plan and a compelling presentation to help them gain experience and contribute to their long-term success. So our solution to this project was to create a LibGuide, business plan and pitch presentation LibGuide. It's broken down into 2 sections: how to write a business plan and how to pitch your business plan. So I will briefly go into it and demonstrate it. Here's our LibGuide page at University of South Florida. You can see over here, it has our contact information. At any time, if they need help, they can reach out to us. And you can see that here, the first section, how to write a business plan. You click in and it gives you the information about how to conduct this plan. It breaks it down into 6 specific steps: executive summary, description, market research, marketing and sales plan, financial analysis and projections, and appendix. If you click into, let's say 1, then it gives you the components of that specific step. So business description, business objectives, it tells you what's common for that specific component. And it tells you a little bit about all the information that you need to know. And at the end of each of the steps, we give a section for resources for the specific step. So for example, here's resources for developing your business description, defining business objectives, and detailing products and service components. So we've handpicked a lot of resources. So 1 would be Business Plans Handbook. These are actual handbooks that students can follow. They're real businesses. So if they have a similar idea, then they can use that as an example, or they can draw inspiration from other plans. And these are more extensive guides that the University of South Florida, we offer these through our catalog. And here we have some of our well-known business databases: ABI Inform, Business Source Premier. These are just some samples of all the different things. We can look further into it. And you'll have this link in our slides if you had a chance to scan the QR code, so you can easily get back to this. So you'll see a lot of these databases and whatnot will definitely allow the students to get the information that they need and how to format it. So that's pretty much it for how to write a business plan. And then we can go into how to pitch the business plan. So here, the students definitely needed the template. And if you pull that up really quick, we can download the template, and you can see that it gives the whole entire slide, and all they have to do is fill out their information, and it breaks down every single component on the page right here, and it talks about all the components and the slides and what should go into the slide. And at the end, it gives more in-depth resources, so how to effectively pitch and how to strike a tone or things of that nature. So that is pretty much all that we have. Feel free to reach out to us, and if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll be glad to answer. So thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Chris and Will. This is a wonderful presentation, and we really like the resources and the LibGuide. That will be really helpful for students. Okay, and if you have any questions, please type in the chat box. We will get back to you at the end of, probably in the end of the section. Okay, we are going to the next one speakers, Rachel Stevenson. She teaches business and pre-entrepreneur classes at the Erie County Public Library in Erie, Pennsylvania, United States, on the topic of re-evaluating the business canvas to assist pre-entrepreneur to business owner. It's over to you, Rachel.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. So what we were noticing at the Erie County Public Library is that we had entrepreneurs who were not quite ready to start a business, but are what I would call kitchen table entrepreneurs. And so we had been teaching the business canvas for a how to start a business class, but realized we needed to come up with a different canvas. And so we came up with this canvas, and I'm going to walk you through it today. And this is kind of the before you start a business. So if you have an idea, but you're not quite sure of everything, this is a place to kind of get you started. And we start off with an icebreaker. And we start off kind of with the hello, I am Rachel Stevenson. My passions are hiking, reading, and my Siberian Husky. My business name is I'm with the band, and my business idea is making 3D printed band bookmarks. A funny story about me is once I bought 53 pillows and shoved them into my 2002 Honda CR-V for a group of singing priests that were coming to a library program that I was having where they were spending the night and demanded that I buy them pillows. Today, I hope to learn more about programs that are going on around the world in entrepreneurship, more about my colleagues in this field, and I'm excited for this conference. So that's just kind of a breakout to get people to talk about what they're doing and why. And then I ask everybody to start with their why statement. And that is I am a librarian and I teach business classes to better inform my patrons so that I can create a better and more brightly economic development situation in the city where I live. And then we talk about our values, and your values can be values that you want to bring into your business. They can be your personal values, whatever you have in that kind of role. And then we talk about the 10 roles or identities that describe yourself or that you see yourself in right now. And that can be father, mother, that could be business owner, CEO, CFO. And after we talk about this at the end, we really look and discuss about what of these roles do you want to give away to other people when your business gets off the ground. And I think that that's really important. After we talk about what roles we see ourselves in, we're definitely thinking about what skills do you need to get to the place where you want to be. What skills don't you have right now that you need to start a business? And we talk about those skills. Do you know how to create a business plan? Do you not know how to create a business plan? What skills do you need? Are you good with books? Are you good with financials? Do you need somebody to handle your financials? Different things like that. And we have them write them down. And everything that we write down on this, we write on Post-it notes that I give away. Because I want them to realize that this is a living organic document and that they can change it whenever they would like to change it and whenever they need to change it. And I think that's important for them to know. So we write everything on Post-it notes so we can alter it, we can move it around, we can take it away, we can add something new, we can change what we're doing. And I make sure that people know that we don't just celebrate achievements, but we celebrate learning opportunities. And somebody earlier said something to the effect of celebrating or talking about business failures. And I always like to look at them instead of failures as learning opportunities. I think that's very important, is that any failure is a learning opportunity. And then I teach them that we talk about getting bail before needing bail. And by that, I always recommend before you start a business to get a bank account, an accountant, insurance, and a lawyer. And if you see, that spells out B-A-I-L, bail. And so hopefully by getting those 4 things, you are not going to need bail later on in the world of your business. We also talk about what kind of change do you want to make in the world with your business? And that could be change, personal change, like I want to become a millionaire, or it could be something bigger with change where you're talking about doing something like Patagonia or Bombas and donating goods back or donating money back to people in your community. And so just thinking about what you want to do with your business. And then we talk about what future do you want to see in your lifetime. And that's obviously with your business, but do you want your business to be a side hustle? Do you want this business to grow so you can move into this business as a full-time thing? What exactly do you want to see in your lifetime with this business? And then what is your end goal? You know, I know it seems odd to think about how you want to end your business when you haven't even started your business, but one of my friends who was mentioned in Forbes 40 Under 40 says that it's really important to know what your end goal is, and your end goal can change, but just knowing how you're going to get out of the business once you're in it is very important. And so we go through this and we talk about your end goal. Is your end goal that you want to pass your business on to a child or a family member? Is your end goal that you want to sell your business for millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars and retire? Is your end goal that you're going to end your business, you're going to close your business, and you're going to do something else? What is your end goal? And so that's kind of how we look at the before you start a business canvas. And like I said, this is for the kitchen table, and the kitchen table businesses, like those beginning businesses. But we also realized that there wasn't something for another type of business. And this one came out of COVID. I'm sorry, this one came out of COVID. And that was businesses that were struggling for some reason. And obviously COVID was a big reason that businesses were struggling. But we've realized that now that COVID, I know COVID isn't over, but now that the pandemic is not as bad as it was, there are businesses that are still struggling. And so we created the Pivoting Your Business canvas to think about how to pivot your business and what you need to do and what went wrong. So we look at it is it time to reevaluate? Looking at what's wrong with your business. So I want to create a business, and I would like you to walk through this with me and unmute yourself, and we're going to play this game together, so it's kind of interactive. So our business is going to be the business I talked about right now. Most of us are librarians on here, I think, with the exception of Ben. So Ben, you're not allowed to play. Anyway, so we'll do the business of the bookmarks, the 3D bookmarks. And along with bookmarks, we also branched out and we started selling Christmas ornaments, and we started selling tote bags, and we started selling t-shirts and a bunch of other things that we're making in this business. And so it looks like we might have grown a little too fast. So it's time for us to reevaluate. So we have to think, what is our business's purpose? So why don't you guys answer that? What is our business's purpose? I know we're supposed to be quiet as librarians, but we can talk too. Our original purpose was bookmarks. So if we grew too fast, maybe we should rein it in and go back to bookmarks. So if we look at going back to bookmarks and stop, selling those other items that are kind of soaking up money and resources and stuff like that, who is our customer? So who is our customer? We're selling bookmarks. Who is our customer? Patrons. Okay, patrons can be customers. Book readers, library patrons, readers. Yes, exactly. So these are the people that are our customers. What do you think our new future goal is? Parents of readers, yes. What do you think our new future goal is? And this is something that like you don't have an answer to necessarily. Nobody has an answer to it, but we're talking about it and we're working on it. So what do we think our new future goal is? Make better bookmarks and sell packages of bookmarks. Okay, that's good. We want to be financially solvent again. We don't want to be, you know, we would like to do that as well. Hit more financial benchmarks. Yes. Become more profitable with just bookmarks. Yes. So, and if we do that, Miranda, there's a possibility that we can spread out and start adjusting again and adding more items. So we have to ask ourselves, do we need to rebrand? And that's a question that we have to know, are we still known as bookmarks or as we known as something else? And we can figure that out. And then we talk about our staffing needs. And did we grow too fast? Did we hire too many staff to do our store? Do we need to cut back on that, which is sad, but it's something that we need to think about and we need to decide if we have to do. So what are our strengths? We're creating 3D printed banned book bookmarks. So we have some uniqueness with us. We know the market. Yes, we know the market. What are some weaknesses? We grew too fast. Do we have any opportunities? Ebooks are a threat. Yes, ebooks are a threat, correct. You do not need a bookmark for an ebook. Or at least a physical one. So I think you guys are starting refocusing and rebranding as a new launch for Hype. Seasonal bookmarks, bookmark accessories. Okay, you guys are getting the hang of it. So we go back to the beginning and we say to ourselves, what was our original problem? And our original problem was we wanted banned book bookmarks that were unique and that people could buy to support their local library and show support for banned books. Cost of supplies has probably gone up. That's probably true. What are alternatives? Well, there are bookmarks that you can buy in places like Barnes & Noble or even Walmart or Amazon. There are all sorts of places you can buy banned book bookmarks. But our solution is that our bookmarks are unique. Each one is made not individually because you can make several at a time. And the advantage is we have an advantage that some of the money goes back to the library. And so then we look at additional costs and we go from there. And so this is kind of how we do these brainstorm sessions. And we have 8 people in a room and we're all talking, we're all sharing, and we make sure that everybody realizes that anything that stays in the room is said in the room stays in the room, and we're not going to take anybody's business idea. I'm going to stop sharing and go into a little bit of just thanking you for playing along with me. I feel it's fun to interact when you have a presentation, and I have some time for questions if anybody wants to put them in the chat. And Ben, thank you for letting me pick on you. Okay. If nobody has any questions, I guess we can go. I do suggest people move from the Canvas model to the full business plan. We do the Canvas and then we send them to another organization in town, the Small Business Development Center at one of our universities, to do the full business plan. So we get them started, and then we have a network called the Beehive Network, which is 6 universities in the library. And we farm them out to whichever university is the right university for them to work with in the stage of where they are. But we are the beginning source for them. We are like their baby step in. We haven't seen anybody hesitant to share due to concerns about intellectual property, but we do have an intellectual property attorney who comes once a month to the library and does programs with us. And so he will always talk about what you can share and what you can't share and everything like that. But most people are very serious about keeping it quiet and not sharing it with other people.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. It's a wonderful presentation, and definitely we learned a lot from you. So I think the time's up. Probably we can go for the next presentation. She's from Zhu Hang, okay, from Australia, other continent. So it's all the way, from remotely, you're doing the presentation. She's from a Start Space Lead, State Library of Victoria from Australia, on the topic of empowering entrepreneurs, a library model to support startup ecosystems. So over to you, Zhuang. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Xue Huang from Starspace of State Library Victoria, based in Melbourne, Australia. So let me quickly share my screen. Sorry about my messy desktop. Can you all see this now?
Yes, yeah, we can see it now.
Great, thank you. So first, thank you for giving us this opportunity to just share a little bit about what we've been doing. I'm so excited to see that many libraries around the world has been exploring new ways of, for libraries to work with the startup ecosystem. So first, let me give you a quick introduction of the State Library Victoria. It is one of Melbourne's founding institutions, established 169 years ago in 1854. It's the oldest public library in Australia and one of the first free public libraries in the world. And luckily, it sits at the heart of the Melbourne Central Business District. And as of now, it's actually world's fourth most visited library with over 2 million visitors per year. As the Sir Redmond Barry, the founding father of State Library Victoria, said, it is a great emporium of learning and philosophy, of literature, science, and art. The library was created at the People's University, a place of learning and discovery for all Victorians. And built on that history and vision, from a pre-COVID survey, the library found that around 14% of local visitors were working on something related to business, and therefore making a space to empower these people to learn practical skills has become a natural option to explore. And therefore, Starspace, as a new and pilot initiative, was launched in early 2020 as part of the ambitious Vision 2020 project, which is a major redevelopment of the library with over 88 million Australian dollar funding from both the government and the community. It ensures the library continues to evolve to meet the changing needs of our vibrant and diverse community. And one of the key outcomes of Vision 2020 was this Ideas Quarter, which is home of Starspace. It was also made possible through the generous donation from Christine Christian Foundation. Christine is the first female president of the State Library Board and the first woman to lead a management buyout in Australia. As a successful business executive and investor, she's very passionate about supporting entrepreneurs. Next, let's look at Starspace, what we've been building over the past 3.5 years. As we're a very new team, it's a new initiative project. So actually, a lot of ways we've been kind of testing and exploring as we move on, what works, what doesn't work. So it's an interesting kind of library model to connect and support with the startup ecosystem. So in the beginning, we found, we did some research, and through that we found there are gaps in the ecosystem. For example, globally, only 2 to 3% of the funding goes to women-led startups. In Victoria, it's slightly better, but only 20%. And only 21% of companies who raised capital in Australia in 2020 had a non-Anglo founder. whereas more than 1/3 of Australian small businesses actually are started by the first generation migrants. So there are some clear gaps there, and we feel there's need to fill these gaps. And StartSpace, we welcome anyone who want to start a business, even from idea stage, and we take extra steps to support those who were previously under-supported. As a metaphor, we don't do cherry picking, but rather we germinate seeds and help the cherries grow. So what is StartSpace? We gave it a bit of definition as empowered by State Library Victoria. StartSpace is an open and inclusive co-working space and community supporting early stage founders to learn, connect, and access resources to build new businesses. And what do we offer? First place, a co-working space in the center of Melbourne, inspiring and practical programs to help the entrepreneurs learn about business skills and know-how. More importantly, networks and resources are built into the ecosystem and access to a diverse community of entrepreneurs. And all these come for free. Our member eligibility, as long as you're over 18 years old, you're a Victorian resident, and you're working on a new and lawful business, or even just from idea stage, you're welcome to join. And in order to make it more dedicated in supporting early stage, we kind of define it, a set of team under 4 people, because if you're bigger and with more funds or resource to build, we would like to connect you with the commercial co-working spaces or the other places in the ecosystem, but we don't want this place to be a cheap alternative for office space. We have 2 types of membership too. First, on the ground floor, we designed it as a free membership with all the facilities they can use, including monitors, stationaries, and meeting rooms, and access to all the programs, as I mentioned, and the networks. And upstairs, there's another different space. We call it loft or paid membership. So beyond these free benefits, they also enjoy free kitchenette, coffee and tea. Sorry, not for free. This is a premium membership, but they enjoy like better facilities like a free kitchen, coffee and tea, soundproofs and phone pods, lockers, printer, etc., and inclusive boardroom meeting room. And so since launch in early 2020 up till now, through COVID, we have accumulated over 1,000 members. A little bit into the member profile. So interestingly, we found around 42% of our members are either women or non-binary, which is higher than what's seen in the broader ecosystem. And the age distribution is typical to what we anticipate. Majority or 65% of members are between the age of 25 and 44, while interestingly, there are over 2% of the members are in the post-retirement age of 65 and plus years old. In terms of cultural background, over 40% are from culturally and linguistically diverse background, and this is a good representation of the community we want to support too, and reflect all the diversity of the population in Melbourne. And as the library advocates open and inclusive, so we don't pick or take preference on what specific industry or what type of startup we support, but as you can see as a result, StartSpace attracts a very wide spectrum of businesses and founders from all walks of life, or with all sorts of background, and with all kinds of business they're starting, from social enterprise, not-for-profit, to hardcore kind of technology like AI or EV or SaaS, or from internet and digital platforms to creatives, from kind of retail or SMEs to consulting and services. And the diversity is something actually makes our community very unique, because the inspirations come from cross-sector kind of ideas and conversations, and this is truly valued by our members. Community building is at the core of our strategy. So we engage and activate community by organizing regular community events, such as monthly member breakfast, as a way to welcome new members and connect them with the community. Or Lunch and Learn give a platform for members to voluntarily share their insights, learnings, and work just about what they've been building. We also encourage members to initiate their own kind of community events, foster collaboration and co-creation, the sense of ownership, and encourage them to support and learn from each other. For example, conversation circles, members will come and they pick their own kind of 2 to 3 topics or challenges they want to tackle on. They brainstorm on that and end up with some nice kind of insights and conclusions that they share among themselves. Or themed meetups that either around a certain topic or around people with sharing the same background or in the same sector. We also connect our community and with the other communities out there. We invite other communities from the ecosystem to co-host events at StarSpace. Therefore, both sides, we expand the networks and share broader benefits. We also create programs and around mainly 4 pillars: inspire, learn, connect, and celebrate. The Inspire aims to inspire members and public audience to explore about entrepreneurship or know about these innovative technologies and explore about new business models. The Learn side of the courses are more designed around the skill sets to help the members learn, for example, startup 101s or upskill business knowledge that they can apply in building their businesses. And Connect tends to connect our community and members with the external resources out there, for example, the investor series or co-host events with other communities. And Celebrate, we embrace opportunities to celebrate our members' achievement and success. Here's a quick snapshot of the different kinds of programs that we had in the past. Another example, or as a flagship kind of program we built over the past 3 years. So starting from during the COVID period, StarSpace has partnered with Study Melbourne, which is another public service advocating the education in Victoria to international students. So we partnered with them, created this comprehensive kind of a Future Founders program, which have 3 components. One is the first one is the regional roadshow, multiple kind of roadshow events in Geelong and Ballarat. So connecting students in these regional universities, students in Melbourne, and with the StarSpace community to inspire them considering entrepreneurship as a career path. Second part is the Future Founder Festival, which is a full day and flagship kind of entrepreneurial conference type of event plus pitch competition to give international students the opportunity to present their business idea and win prize. Then third is a scholarship. Then we aim to provide 5 scholarships to, and each about 10,000 Australian dollars in seed funding, plus a 12-week mentorship to help them kickstart their businesses. After the previous 3 years of development, it has evolved into Australia's largest entrepreneurial program, specifically in supporting international students and graduates. Luckily, StarSpace has its own brand identity, website, and social media channels. This is to better kind of attract target audience and ensure the clear messaging. So here are some examples of our website and posters, and we also have a dedicated different mini site for the Future Founders program. And here are some snapshots of our social media posts on LinkedIn and Instagrams. As previously mentioned, we've taken extra steps supporting those underserved communities. And this is done by develop relations and work with partners across various areas. For example, just mentioned, we work with Study Melbourne and multiple universities to support students or international students to explore entrepreneurship. We also work with, for example, Catalyzer, which is a migrant and refugee focused accelerator to create programs, events to support, dedicated support to migrant and refugee founders. Or with Senvic, which is social enterprise Victoria, in supporting social entrepreneurs. And we also work with companies, for example, like Luna. This is a private consulting company dedicated in supporting early stage founders. And we work them deliver on-the-ground business know-how to help our members learn practical skills. And we're also looking at, working with different partners in delivering kind of a tailor-made, for example, women-supported programs or initiatives. Last but not least, none of these could be achieved without a passionate and dedicated team. So there are currently 5 people in our team, and on average, we got 20 years of experience with combined cultural background from 5 different countries and speaking for. And there were also, previously there were also founding team members who had left our team, but have made significant contribution to the, founding and developing of StarSpace. So we're like, like a startup ourselves, still on the path of exploring ideas and opportunities, testing different kind of road paths, different possibilities, and keep kind of working on refining our, business model. The final goal is to build something that's vibrant, impactful, and sustainable, and supporting the ecosystem. And this model may not, fit for every library, but I hope what I shared could give some inspiration and ideas for you today. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback, and learn from each other through this great ELC platform. And here's my contact. Please feel free to reach out. And again, thanks for the committee and for giving this opportunity to share about StarSpace. And thank all of you from libraries around the world for your interest and attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Celine Garreau-Brennan. I use the pronoun she, her. I'm one of the co-chairs of this event. And I just want to quickly thank you once again to all of our speaker panelists and planners, and also everyone in attendance that took the time out of your busy schedule to join today's conference. These presentations have been recorded and they'll be found on our website soon, which you can find at Entrelib. As a reminder, we also have some excellent pre-recorded sessions that can be found at the following link too. So we appreciate all of your efforts in making this ELC event a success. The conversation doesn't have to end here. We encourage you to stay in touch with ELC by following us on LinkedIn, which we will also share in the chat and we've shared, and please keep an eye out for future events. So that's all, folks. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
And yeah, this is a big thank you to my co-chair, Kelly, too, Kelly was doing a lot of the what I'd call stage managing behind the scenes today. Her and I were constantly on chat. So
yes, thank you, everyone. I echo Celine's sentiments. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. The recording will post on the website soon, and absolutely have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Yeah.